So I'm the regional director for Gaudenzia, and through the hard work of a tremendous amount of our patients and funding from all variety of sources, we've been able to get this place so close to opening we can taste it. And we're excited about being able to make a big difference in the lives of Anne Arundel County residents. I want to take one moment to recognize the leadership that Christy Blaylock has had in terms of helping us open this facility, or get it to the point where we can open. And in particular, I want to thank the crews of patients, residents, and of Anne Arundel County residents, frankly, who are in treatment with us at another facility of ours, who have been here tirelessly and displayed incredible skills in terms of making this place as pretty as it is today. So if we could just take a quick moment to recognize some of the patients who are coming into the back. So my next task is to introduce Judge Silkworth, who has been a tireless advocate for substance abuse and mental health treatment in this county as well as across the state. I know he has spent untold hours educating all the various stakeholders of the criminal justice system to let them know how important behavioral health care is in terms of preventing and keeping people out of the criminal justice system. So I pass the baton on to you, Judge. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me? Okay, if you can't, then stop. Now, my choice today would be to continue training at the Judicial Education Center about case time standards and management of courts, or be here. Guess where I am? My name is Judge Ronald Silkworth, and it is my distinct pleasure and honor to be here, to be asked to serve in this capacity, and to welcome each and every one of you on what I think is, I know is a historic occasion, and that is the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the opening of Gaudenzia, Crownsville. The return, after a number of years, of a quality residential treatment facility to Anne Arundel County. Before I go further, let me just say thank each and every one of you. My job is to introduce various dignitaries and hopefully keep things moving. If I miss anyone, and candidly, I wish I could go around the room because there's so many faces of people that I know, whether it be from the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, the drug courts in the circuit court, the health officer. There's so many people here. And truly, the resolution and the solution to the problem that we face in terms of the heroin crisis is solved by the work that you all do and will continue to do. I am the chief judge for Anne Arundel County in the 4th Circuit that consists of Howard, Carroll, and Anne Arundel. So what does that mean? I have no responsibility as chief judge. It means I'm the oldest judge. I've been around the longest. As of July the 16th, it will be 20 years that I've served on the circuit court. And that has given me, added to my 20 years perspective as a trial lawyer and one who's done criminal cases over the years, I think a lot of experience. I think I understand the criminal justice system, what needs to be done and what has not been done. I have presided over the cases of hundreds, and I'm going to provide you with evidence. Judges and lawyers should bring the evidence, and I'm going to provide you with the evidence. I have presided over thousands of cases and seen hundreds and thousands of men, women from all walks of life, all races, all colors, all creeds, all backgrounds, who have been addicted, who have been impacted by the what we call the addiction. It impacts 85% of the work of the circuit court. It impacts the family court. It impacts the juvenile, the civil, and the criminal docket. During my tenure, you might ask, how many times have I seen, I'm one judge in one county in this state, how many times have I had the unfortunate responsibility to sign off on a death certificate that came from parole and probation. One of my probationers who passed away directly because of an overdose or indirectly because of involvement with addiction. I'm not thrilled to say that it's happened to me about 60 times. And each time is no easier than the last. And I learned a long time ago that the only way to work the problem is to work the problem. So for 20 years now, I've spent time once a month, if not often, more often than that, interviewing and talking and following up with probationers who have been involved in the criminal justice system. Because my job is not done when I sentence somebody. Oftentimes, my job, and with your help, our job is simply beginning. Yesterday, I participated in one of these review sessions, and I talked to 3 young men who were 25, 26. And it didn't shock me, but it kind of was a revelation that these young people were telling me about, because I always inquire, what's happening with you? How's your job going? Are you in treatment? Are you doing what you're supposed to do? So, and they very often will open up and tell me what is happening and what they're thinking, what they're feeling. And one young man said that, you know, Judge, I've lost 10 of my best friends in the last couple of years. We have, and we are in a crisis. And we cannot and will not ever get out of this crisis by incarcerating people completely. That is not the answer. We have to be guided, however, by the law. And I am always guided by the law, which says that when I sentence someone, I have to punish, hopefully deter, but thirdly, rehabilitate. And after 40 years, I think I can safely say to you with confidence that I'm right about what I'm saying, and some might not want to hear it. But we've done a great job when it comes to incarceration. Nobody ever says to Judge Soapworth when I impose a sentence of 5 years, 10 years, oh, Judge, we can't, don't lock him up, don't take him or her away. We don't have enough beds. Nobody ever says to me, well, Judge, we're going to need about 60 to or 4 to 5 months to get the bed. Never happens. Whether those sentences deter for the period of time they're in jail, they do. Some argue that when they're in jail too much, there's no deterrence. They're learning a lifestyle they shouldn't, that will aggravate the problem and not help the problem. But the third, equal element of sentencing, this is the law. It's what the Court of Appeals has told us time and time again, is rehabilitation. And the fact is that we have not provided the necessary rehabilitation in terms of funding, in terms of our practices. Somehow it has, I won't say lost, because it's not lost, because I look at everybody in this room, and you all are here because you get it, and you understand. And what I've learned over the years is that you must provide the resources to support not just the jail sentence, the punishment part, but the rehabilitation part of it. You have to provide, scientists would tell you, you must provide the continuity of care. Make sure that that care begins and doesn't break. Also, the continuity of supervision. Without those, without the funding, without this facility, the crisis goes on and more people will die. Now, I have some other things to say later. I'm going to hold off on that. And I actually have a special guest that I want to introduce to you. Remember I said, I'm going to bring you the evidence. Well, although it was happenstance, I will show you the evidence of how this process works when you work it. I believe that the opening of Gaudenzia is a monumental and major and important step for Anne Arundel County. And I look forward to working with the Gaudenzia officials and everyone in this room who's interested or who, in terms of the process, But at this point, there are some people that are special people that are here that I'd like to introduce before you see my evidence. The first is the Governor, Larry Hogan, could not be here, but for the second time in a week, I have the pleasure of being with Mr. Steve McAdams, who is representing the Governor, and I believe Steve is with the Office of Community. There you go. All right, so here is Steve McAdams.
Thank you, Judge. I'd like to first say hello to my good friend Steve Shue and all the dignitaries out there. And on behalf of Governor Hogan, we would like to acknowledge for the first time in public that we've had the chance, acknowledgement of Mr. Pascal for all your great efforts that you've done through this county 30 years. Thank you very much. My name is Steve McAdams, and I'm with the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives. And on behalf of Governor Hogan, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to be here today. The Governor's Office of Community Initiatives oversees the Governor's Office of Service and Volunteerism, Volunteer Maryland, Community Affairs Engagement with the Executive Branch of Maryland Government, Faith-Based Outreach, and the Governor's 8 Ethnic and Cultural Commissions. We enhance and improve opportunity for Maryland residents. All of you are here today to extend that by helping those affected by drug and alcohol dependency, mental illness, and related conditions to achieve a better quality of life and become an accountable individual. Becoming accountable is what we're striving to do across the state government. When Governor Hogan campaigned for governor, he asked Marylanders what their biggest concerns were. They were in this order: the economy, taxes, and the growing heroin crisis topped the list. Throughout Maryland, from our smallest towns to our biggest cities, heroin has indeed become an epidemic, with 75 to 80% of new heroin users coming from prescription drugs. I'm proud to say that Governor Hogan's Heroin and Opioid Emergency Task Force, led by Lieutenant Boyd Government, is making a great start to address this issue. Established shortly after the governor took office, the task force gathered testimony from experts and citizens affected by heroin. It provided recommendations for policy and regulations, or legislation to improve law enforcement responses to the crisis, and availability of high-quality treatment for those struggling with addiction. About a year ago, our administration introduced a supplemental budget providing $2 million to the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to expand treatment programs for those addicted by heroin. We've worked to expand residential treatment facilities for adults suffering from chemical dependency, provide community-based training and distribution, and increase supportive recovery housing for women and children. Yet there is still work that must be done, and we must continue to tackle this head on. And with facilities like yours, we are able to do that. You are truly, in the words of the governor, changing Maryland for the better. Congratulations.
Our next guest is someone who I don't believe most of us, or all of us, really need an introduction. Steve Shue is our currently elected county executive. He served 2 terms in the Maryland General Assembly, representing District 31, that includes Pasadena and parts of Glen Burnie and Brooklyn Park, my hometown I grew up. He served as chairman of the Anne Arundel County delegation to the House of Delegates. Steve is a businessman. Steve knows how to get things done. And we are very fortunate to have him now as our county executive, because in that capacity, he knows how to get things done. Steve Shue.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is a wonderful event and a great day for Anne Arundel County, for Gaudenzia, and for the many families that are suffering from addiction. Anne Arundel County has a system in place for providing services to those who are suffering from addiction, but as the judge said, that system is inadequate. We are not able to cope with the rising tide of addiction in this county. And that's why the opening of this facility is so important. This facility will provide stabilization services, counseling, inpatient services, and other services that are the foundation of effective treatment in Anne Arundel County and elsewhere. Here in Anne Arundel County, we face an enormous challenge from addiction. A year ago, I sounded the alarm by declaring a public health emergency and informed our citizens that at that time we were experiencing an overdose a day and a fatality a week. And those statistics were horrifying. Well, more horrifying are the statistics of today. Those numbers are up 50%. 50% from the same period a year ago. We're losing this battle right now, which again is why this facility is so important. And it's not that we're not doing anything. We're doing a lot of things. Immediately after declaring the public health emergency, we formed a heroin action task force that studied the matter, studied best practices around the country, and implemented 35 different initiatives that cut across education and public outreach. That includes our social services departments, particularly the Department of Health, to provide more treatment options, and public safety, to go after the dealers like they have never been gone after before. But despite all of that effort, we are losing ground, and so we have to redouble our efforts and expand all of our programs and efforts. We need everybody's help to win. Government alone is not going to win this battle. I think we all know that. Government has a role to play, an important one, but we have to work in partnership with the nonprofit community like Gaudenzia, with our faith community, and community organizations throughout. Gaudenzia is critical for Anne Arundel County's battle. This new facility will double the number of inpatient beds here in our county. We're supporting this effort through the county budget. We've asked County Council for approval of a $190,000 grant to support the build out of this facility. And by the way, I want to congratulate the volunteers who put in all the time and energy to make this facility so wonderful. And that investment is well worth it. Every dollar we spend on treatment and counseling is a dollar that will help save lives and a dollar we won't have to spend on law enforcement. So I want to conclude by thanking the staff and leadership and volunteers of Gaudenzia. I want to also particularly thank Bob Pascal, former county executive of Anne Arundel County, not just for his support of this facility, but for his tireless efforts over many, many years to battle addiction and to help save lives. So thank you, Mr. Pascal, for all you've done. To commemorate this occasion, I have an executive citation, which reads, "The citizens of Anne Arundel County, Maryland salute Gaudenzia, Crownsville in recognition of your grand opening and ribbon cutting. Anne Arundel County congratulates Gaudenzia on the opening of their new residential treatment center in Crownsville, Maryland. Anne Arundel County welcomes Gaudenzia's premier substance abuse, mental health, and crisis intervention services to people afflicted with chemical dependency, mental illness, and other related mental health conditions. We extend to you our sincere thanks for the difference you will make in Anne Arundel County and wish you the best in your future endeavors." Thank you.
You're right up on the wall. Thanks so much to the County Executive Shu for his commitment and support of this ribbon cutting, but also the problem with John. We're very appreciative of that. Now, let me introduce to you, let's see, Delegate Mike Malone, who is now serving, I think this is your second year, or
That's correct.
Second year. He recently finished, and I understand from talking to him that he had some long nights managing his law practice and his responsibilities in the legislature. And he also served on the Justice Reinvestment, I believe, Commission. Am I correct? So he understands the issue. So, Mike.
Thank you, Judge. When I received this invitation, quite frankly, I had no choice to show up. And it's for two reasons. One, I'm here to speak on behalf of the truly innocent victims. I'm primarily a family law practitioner, and in this past year, I had a case where 3 children basically lost their mother, not through death, but through addiction. 3 times we showed up in court, I was representing the father, and all 3 times the mother was under the influence. Once we couldn't even proceed. She couldn't speak, her language was slurred. So there are innocent victims in addition to folks who are battling abuse who get hurt and harmed. These 3 children are all kindergarten or younger, and they've lost their mom, who had been the primary caregiver. My client was a young military man, so he had served TDY, was often not home. Now these children have a mother who often just doesn't know where she is. The other reason I had to show up here today is because through the Pascal Center, I had a case a year ago where there was a child who was in therapy, who was facing some physical abuse and some concerns. And I know this organization is going to succeed because I know the passion of some of the folks. And I'm going to butcher her name probably again, Catherine Bonacontri.
You did great.
There we go. So, and Tiffany Sands were the counselors for this young child. And court doesn't always go as planned. I don't remember, we showed up at least 2 or 3 times before the evidence got to be put before the court. Not paid, just there on passion, trying to protect a young child. So I want to commend this organization. I want to commend the support from former County Executive Pascal. It's going to succeed. It has to. We have too many children, too many other individuals who need the benefit. We got to improve our society. So I thank you, Gaudenzia, for our effort to protect those innocent individuals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Delegate Malone. Okay, next on our list, if I can find it here, let me introduce to you Chris Trumbauer. Where is Chris? Chris, is this your second term on the council? Second and final term on the council. Representing District 6. Chris Trumbauer.
Thank you, Judge. So it's my pleasure to be here. I'm joined by my colleague on the council, Jerry Walker, and you know it's a great event when Councilman Walker comes out of his district into my district to celebrate. And this is a momentous occasion. And my partner at the county council, Janice Hayes-Williams, is here somewhere, and Janice will remember that it was probably 2 years ago we started meeting with Christy and Greg about Gaudenzia. And they told me what they wanted to do, and I said, it sounds great. Behavioral health is a really critical need right now in our county, as you've heard everyone say, including the county executive. And this small piece of funding that's in the proposed budget is important to make this happen, this center happen. And I remember when I first met with Christy and Greg, and they were telling me the plans, I said, look, if you want to do anything at Crownsville, you got to talk to the Generals Highway Association, and you got to go see Z-Man. You remember that, Christy? That's what I said. And so this is important. So they did that. They immediately went, they started meeting with the neighborhood associations, and that proves to me not only are they a good company that's going to offer a much needed service, they're going to be a good neighbor to the community. And here in Crownsville and here in District 6, that's very important. So it's my pleasure, along with my colleague, we have a citation as well. It's very much like the county executives, except we have this fancy gold seal, which he does not have. And the other thing that we have is we have 7 signatures on here, one for each of the council members, and let us all hope that these 7 will also support the funding in the budget. Thank you for the opportunity to be here on behalf of Jerry. Did you want to say a couple words? Oh, sure, and we were joined also by 2 other legislative aides, Councilman Pruski's aide, Dave Helmicki, and Councilman Pruka's aide, Philip is here as well. So, good. Thank you guys for coming. That's the majority of the
Okay, onward onward to the next dignitary. Where is Tony McConkey, Delegate McConkey? My delegate in Smyrna Park and Broad Neck. Here's Delegate Tony McConkey.
Thank you, Judge. This is exciting for so many reasons. This is so needed, and as everyone has said, the importance that Gaudenzia does is, has been well documented. But I'm excited for some other reasons as well. Being there in the beginning, when we first started talking about this and trying to find a way to make this possible, thank you so much, County Executive, and the County Council for finding the funding. I saw the process. There were a lot of fits and starts, and I commend Gaudenzia for seeing it through. Also, I'm very excited because hopefully this is the start of breathing new life into the Crownsville campus. We've been talking and thinking and trying to find ways to get groups to take advantage of the 500-acre campus that's here, and hopefully this is the beginning of a long string of other groups and other uses that we can make here on this campus, and so thank you for that also. On behalf of the Anne Arundel County delegation, we also have a certificate, and I think this is a little bigger than the... and it has a seal, and we have 15 people. So on behalf of the Anne Arundel County delegation, congratulations.
Before I introduce the next guest speaker, I thought I would go, there are some dignitaries here, and if I miss you, please stand up. I could hardly miss Senator Ed Riley. And sitting next to Ed is, let's see, Carl Snowden. How are you, Carl? I'm told that Michael Peruka was also here from the council. Councilman Peruka here. Okay. Pam Beidel. Okay, Pam is not here. You've already met Jerry Walker. And Ted Sophocles. Is Ted here? Okay. I did see Jinleen Chan, Dr. Chan from the Health Department. She is here. Someone here from the states, Wes Adams from the state's attorney's office, or someone representing it? A call. Okay, all right. Okay, let me ask those who are here from the circuit court, drug court team, because I know there were a few. Robin Ricard, and I thought there were Paula Fish. Hamilton Tyler, who is the chair of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee. There's Hamilton. If I missed anyone, stand and forever hold your peace. Yes.
Bridget Smith with Congressman Sarbanes' office.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. Pardon me? I did see someone from the county police department here earlier. There he is. Actually, he's hiding just out the door, but I can still see him. Sean Rutherford from Parole and Probation. All right. Our next guest is someone that I just met this morning. I had heard about Ms. Youngblood previously and her unfortunate experience. And I told her this morning that I cannot imagine her experience, but that I had seen other moms and dads experience what she had too many times. So it is an honor to have here Ms. Youngblood, who will explain to you why this is so important.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Public speaking is definitely not my strong point, but I never imagined I'd find myself standing up here in front of everyone talking about this or anything else, but I'm trying to do what I can do to help. I'm honored to be a part of this ceremony to open this desperately needed residential treatment facility. I'll tell you a little about my family's journey on this path of addiction. It began around 2007 when my middle son, Lance, he was around 13. So this path with this horrific disease known as addiction began around 2007 when my middle son Lance was about 13. And I emphasize the word family because when you're dealing with a loved one who is addicted, the whole family is involved. It definitely affects the whole family. We began to notice changes in Lance's behavior, and he was getting in trouble with the law. We eventually learned the changes were due to the drugs. First marijuana and drinking, then pills, and eventually heroin. But even before the drugs, Lance suffered from behavioral disorders that were never properly diagnosed despite continuous visits to behavioral specialists and therapists. During these 7 years, we tried to get Lance help on multiple occasions. Each time we hit a brick wall. There just wasn't enough information out there about addiction. There weren't enough treatment facilities available to treat this growing epidemic. And addiction was just something that people didn't talk about. You kept it to yourself. You felt shame. You felt like you failed, which I felt like a parent, I failed. The family didn't understand why Lance would choose a lifestyle that was destroying him on the inside and out over a family that truly loved him and was trying to help him. He wasn't Lance anymore. And we didn't understand the hold that this disease had taken over. And this was one of the brick walls we hit also, the education. We didn't know enough about the disease, and there wasn't anywhere to go for education. Like I said, I felt I failed as a parent. We called number after number trying to get Lance the help he needed. When he did get into a facility, it would be about a 14 to 28 day stay, which was just like putting a Band-Aid over the problem. There was no follow-up care implemented for when they discharged him. He was just put back out there to repeat this vicious cycle over and over and over again. And unfortunately, he lost his battle with this disease in July of 2014. And immediately after, I started talking, telling his story and my story. And a lot of people came up to me and asked, why are you doing this? Why are you publicly talking about something that is shameful and that stigma is still attached? But I said, you know, if I could help another family from going through what I've gone through, then I've won, and another family has won, and that's what I want to do. I've learned so much since he passed. A lot of things that I didn't know then that I wish I knew now. I want to be the voice for Lance and all those that have lost their struggle with this addiction and those who are still struggling. We have come a long way since 2007. I've met a lot of people who are passionate and love what they are doing, and I am truly appreciative of being a part of this. And I want to be a part of it for that long road that we have to go, because I know with the proper treatment and education, we can definitely save lives. Thank you.
Let me also introduce to you someone that I just met this morning this afternoon. That's Barbara J. Bazran, PhD. Barbara is the Executive Director of the Behavioral Health Administration of the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And of course, obviously, she's actively involved in processes that hopefully will provide us with additional funding for all of this. So, hello, Ms. Dr. Bazran. Now, it was said a few moments ago that in order to make this happen, you have to talk to the Generals Highway Council of Civic Association. So now you're going to talk to the president of the Generals Highway Council of Civic Association, or he's going to talk to you. Let me introduce to you Mark Zablotny.
Yesterday, Catherine told me I had 20, and I said 20 minutes, because I wrote this 2-hour speech. And 20 seconds. By the way, that was Miss Youngwood, God bless you. General Highway Council Civic Associations, I'm the president. We have 32 communities in the General Highway Corridor. We have approximately 5,000 families, homes that we monitor. We have, I gotta say, ever since I've been involved with Gaudenzia, they have been right there for us. They've been to all of our meetings. They've been so supportive. We have a great working relationship. Very, very positive working relationship, and I really appreciate it. And we have already set up a community advisory committee. We met last night, and any kind of problems that occur, we're gonna try to meet quarterly, and we'll just have people come in, and any kind of problems or issues, we'll handle that. That's all I have to say, sir. Thank you.
Now, before I introduce Michael Harley, the President and CEO of Gaudenzia, I thought I would let the cat out of the bag in terms of what evidence did I bring. So I'm going to introduce someone to you who is very special to me. Special because he's not used to seeing me in this environment. This young man is used to seeing me when I'm wearing my robe. And he is proof positive, because they always say in the legislature, where's your evidence, where's your data? Well, I didn't actually intentionally do it, but when I saw Larry Graves, I said, I have to introduce him. Larry is someone that was on my probation. Actually, he was incarcerated for a number of years. He's one of those people who, not because he's a bad person, because he's not, he's a wonderful guy. But he went down the wrong path for a reason that I don't know, but there are many reasons why that happens. And I have to say, Larry, you were pretty tough. You were kind of hard for me to manage at times, and you probably thought I was pretty tough on you, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, now I want you to hear from Larry so he can tell you what he's doing today. Larry Graves.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Wow. First of all, I just like to thank everyone that had a hand in my recovery. Recovery was hard, but it was worth it. My life has changed so much. I can't really express it in words, but today I don't use drugs anymore. I don't break the law anymore. In fact, I've come through programs like this. There's so many people here, especially Chrissy. I have to say Chrissy, because she had a lot to do with my recovery. And anyway, now today, I'm working in a position where I can give what was given to me back to others. I'm a peer support specialist, and I work at the Anne Arundel County Health Department. So each day when I come to work, have actually drug addiction, they come to me asking how they can get in recovery. So what I do, I connect them with the resources in the community, so that they can start this process of recovery. I help them get into outpatient, I help them get into inpatient, I help them to be connected with services where they can get funding so they can be in recovery housing. And man, it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful feeling. I'm still in recovery. This life, I wouldn't give it up for nothing. I protect this. I would never go back. There's a story in the Bible where it talks about this lady named Ruth. And they were leaving out of the town of Sodom and Gomorrah. And it was told to them, don't look back. And she looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. Well, I'm not doing that. And I'm grateful to be here, so thank you.
Now it is time to introduce for a gentleman who perhaps is significantly responsible for making all this happen. And I will let him talk to you about how they got here and where Gaudenzia is going. Please welcome Michael Harper.
I'm glad we didn't get another certificate because it would be bigger than the wall. I want to thank everybody for today. These are my, I have props. I have props. I got to bring some props. But I want to thank everybody, but I most especially want to thank Ann, because you are the solution to this problem. I've been doing this for 40-some years, and I know, and I've lost my godchildren, and I can't imagine losing my daughter or my son to this disease. I just can't imagine what it would feel like. It's not even in my ability to imagine. And so you can hear from me anything I can do to make that easier, and I think probably what we can do is to make sure that other families don't experience what you experienced, and I'll commit myself to that. So I really want to thank you. Also, we know, right back at you. By the way, I was one of those 13-year-old young men, and by the grace of God, I'm here today. And I'm embarrassed, look at all the support in the room, it's wonderful. But as a culture of how we got here from when I was 13 to be at this point where it's cheaper to buy a bag of heroin than a pack of cigarettes. Nothing in my experience would have led me to believe that we'd get there. So let me just spend a little bit of, give you my perception of what's happening. So I already talked to the law enforcement people, so nobody gets scared. And you know it's not real, right? So this is the gun, right? That's the gun. And this is the knife. It's a funny knife, but it's a knife, okay? And I have it in here somewhere, I gotta find it, because it's illegal. But here's some, what heroin looks like. It's not really heroin. And by the way, it looks in different kind of bags depending where you are, but this is probably known to you as something that you would notice. And for any pharmacist in the room, Ken, are you here? Ken, we have a pharmacist here, so as you know, that's not a real bottle of OxyContin, okay? And there's one last prop I got. It's in my pocket. This is my car keys. So I want to ask a question to the audience. What of these things kill more people, have killed more people today? Is it the gun? Is it the knife? Is it the heroin? Is it the car? Or is it these pills? Legal pills. So these are all legal. Two things are legal here, the keys and the pills. So for some of you already know the answer to this question. I don't have enough room for these big guns and big knives. But just let me give you Anne Arundel statistics from right here, from this county. There was 14 homicides in Anne Arundel County in 2015. 14. 10 of them were with this gun, with a gun like that. And 4 of them were stabbed. That was 14. They have about 12 to 20 a year. So it's not taking off, it's not increasing, it's somewhere in the middle of where it usually is. Traffic deaths, there were 37. So these keys killed more people than the guns and the knives. 37 traffic deaths. 30 of them, or 12, were contributed to alcohol. So it hasn't gone away. It's not increasing, but it's still there and we're living with it every day. And alcohol used to be the #1 of all these things. Alcohol in car accidents was the #1 killer of accidental death in the United States. Okay? So you know. So we got the heroin and we got the bottle of pills over here. So what do you think kills the more people, the heroin or the bottle of pills? Actually, it's the bottle of pills, and let me tell you why. Because most of the people who died of heroin overdoses, this little thing over here,
started with these. And we spent in this country, this is why I'm embarrassed. This is as a citizen, not as a person in recovery or as a family member, but just as a citizen, that somehow we allowed a company to sell 111 tons of Oxycontin in our country. 111 tons, and they made $32 billion off of that, more than any heroin dealer ever made in their whole history. $32 billion. And they killed our children with it, and we let them do it. Somehow we let them do it, and I think we're gonna stop them. I'm sure we're gonna stop them, and for Ann, we're gonna make sure we stop them, so that there is not a lot more Anns. And by the way, the best treatment in the world, somebody, because this stuff is so powerful, the heroin is anywhere between 70 and 90% pure. And you guys need to bring the price down by locking them up, and you need to bring the price up and the quality down. That'll really help us. The best thing we need for treatment is for you to bring the price of heroin up and for you to bring the purity down, because it's killing people. It is just too pure. It's just there. So I just want to get that out of the way, that I'm embarrassed, and I tell everybody this. And I've been saying it since 2007. You see that film? That was 2007 when we did that film. And we noticed that we said that the fastest growing issue was heroin addiction. This is 2015, and I'm getting old, man. Please. And I'm really happy to see all you folks here today. This is a really good feeling, and I'm also glad that people are not ashamed and not embarrassed, and people are standing up. Family members are standing up. People have it in their own family are standing up. You know, I watched people and we did some really great things we should be proud of. One, we got Narcan. We're keeping people alive. I can't treat anybody unless you keep them alive. You've done that. The legislature passed it, you approved it, that was the most important thing. I know it's pissing off the EMTs, because every time you bring those people back, they want to fight you. What we did is we put them in automatic withdrawal. You know, so let's understand that a little bit. But we kept them alive so that we can treat them some other day. We also passed Good Samaritan laws. My godchild died. Her sister died in her arms in an apartment. She was only 14 years old. Her sister was 17. She overdosed on heroin, and because the other kids in the room said, "Don't call the EMT because we'll get arrested." That's what they did, and she died. Had they picked up the phone and called the EMT immediately, she'd be alive today. So we went right for that. The other thing we did is we did a prescription drug monitoring program. So we're now looking at people that are drug seeking, getting those drugs in different places. Some of these programs are better than others, but what we haven't done, and I think we need to take these people out. We really need. They need to be held accountable for what they've done. We haven't gotten there yet. Just like we did with the cigarette companies, we're gonna have to do it with these people. They need to stop. I just watched a commercial yesterday. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but we now have opioid constipation drugs, okay? And if anybody's seen the one, there's two. Matter of fact, it seems like it's one company. There's multiple companies battling for this market. And if the one is great. There's a woman walking hand in hand with an opioid. He's got opioid written across his chest. And he's got a little hat on. And he's got little stick legs. He's walking, and I'm thinking about how are kids seeing this? How are they watching this? And opioids are our friend. And by the way, is Ken here? Ken Dickinson? Ken? One of my staff is a recovering pharmacist who's got like 30 years, a doctor of pharmacy. You know what he tells me? This stuff doesn't even work. It's a short-acting drug that doesn't even work. We have sold a bill of goods to the American people. We need to hold them accountable. I hate to make those speeches on such a wonderful, beautiful day when everybody's happy about this place open, but what we do need to do is the most important thing is that the cat's already out of the barn. We've got to do more treatment. We got to do more integrated treatment so that somebody who has a mental illness or a pain problem gets the treatment that they need to get. We need to be able to open up more programs, and accessibility is a big issue. They need to be able to get to the right treatment at the right time. That's important. And more importantly, we need to use the criminal justice system as a lever, as encouragement. I would not be here, I'd be dead. My higher power was the Court of Common Pleas for many years. Not anymore, because I forgot all about it, but that's how I got there. And had I not got there, I'd be dead. And had I not had a family that accidentally, that's the other thing, that accidentally got me to the right place. It shouldn't be accidental. We need to have programs for family members, not only family members who have lost their kids, but family members to avoid them from losing their kids. And I think once the parents organize and get it together, they're gonna push for that, and I'll be right there with you. So whatever we need to do to help you do that, it's gonna take time though. None of this, there's no magical answers. And that's, in my defense, I wanna let my staff know, who's done a wonderful job, but we have no magic. We really don't. With the best treatment in the world, people still don't make it. The heroin are so powerful that one relapse, we're not even gonna use that word anymore. It's death. What we tell our clients today isn't, well, it's a relapsing disorder that you might get, you might come back from. We just tell them, you know what, you probably will die. If you use, you'll die. It's a new message. It's a new message we're gonna have to get out to everybody. If you use, you're dying. We're gonna have to get that message out. Problem is, some people, that doesn't matter to them because they're hopeless. So one of the things we also do, and you guys do so well, and I'm talking to my staff, is we give people hope. And we only can do that with your support. We are not that bright. We're definitely don't have that much money. We really need this to be a community activity, and I can see it here today, so it gives me hope to be here with everybody here. I want to thank everybody here. If anybody got left out, you are just as important as the persons that we brought up here. Everybody that's in this room is important to us. And I want to thank everybody for giving people hope way beyond when we're here. So this is something I can feel, I told you how ashamed I am as a culture. This makes me proud to be part of this culture. And really proud to be part of Anne Arundel County, where I think everybody's picked up everybody pushed this forward, where it would have been just as easy, because for a politician, Steve, I want to let you know, we get beat up all the time for being in this field, and when whoever comes out front gets beat up. That's how it works in this field. It's the way it is. There's a stigma around the people we deal with, Your Honor, you know about this, and there's a stigma if you're trying to help them. So thank you for putting yourself out there. Thank you, and Judge, thank you so much. And Bob, and we're really looking forward. This facility is going to be one of a kind in the nation. There's a program like this in Texas. There's a program like this in Las Vegas that I went and visited. This means that the police are going to be able to take people directly here that are having a crisis. And we can figure out later on whether it's mental illness or substance abuse or physical abuse, whatever that might be, rather than letting people get bounced around like a basketball. So we'll get people here, and hopefully we'll get them started right away. So and from the governor's office, we want to thank the governor for giving us a long-term lease so we can raise money for these other buildings. As you notice in our film, you notice we're the first program to have a program for women and children. We want to have a women and children's program right next door because we know it's needed, and it's going to get worse. The amount of women who are addicted to heroin that are 19, 20, 22 years old, who have children, is skyrocketing. So thank you, everybody. I'm long-winded. I'm going to take all my props. That's not heroin.
Now I think it's time for, and I also have to say thank you so much to our former county executive, Bob Pascal, for his support and what I suspect will be his continuing support for this effort. So, I guess it's now time to... Oh. Okay. Well, this is a plaque that is presented to Steve Shue. If you would come up, Steve. Gaudenzia Inc. and the Pascal Crisis Stabilization Center, thank you for your outstanding commitment and dedicated support of substance abuse treatment and crisis stabilization services for the residents of Anne Arundel. Mr. Pascal, come on up.
Hey, you stay right there.
No, we got you. All right, ready? Set, go. We got it.
That's what you get for being on the Eastern Shore too long. All right.
Gaudenzia, Inc., and the Pascal Crisis Stabilization Center, thank you for your outstanding commitment and dedicated support of substance abuse treatment and crisis stabilization services for the residents of England.
Thank you very much.
I do want to take a brief minute, though, to mention this young woman here, dressed in green, Catherine Bonacantri. She's the executive director of Pascal, and we became fast friends, united in a cause to help Anne Arundel County residents who are in crisis. It's through her vision that most of what you see today has been created, and I know that outside of her family, she really is dedicated to the cause to help those in need. We really look forward to the partnership of marrying crisis intervention services and mental health and substance abuse treatment services in this building. And we hope that through our continued partnership and her agency, we're going to be able to make a big difference. So I definitely wanted to mention that. So thank you, Catherine. So what we're about to do is do a very complicated ribbon ceremony. You can never have enough pairs of scissors or a ribbon long enough. So let's see if we can pull this off. So let's see, what we'd like to have is Michael Harrell, Bob Pascal, Judge Silkworth, obviously the County Executive Steve Shue, Barbara Bazeron would also be great. Oh, Steve McAdams, of course. So, and I think we, yeah. Yeah. And Ms. Youngblood, you as well.
You all set? 1, 2, 3, go.
Thank you.
Come in.
That's where you come in.
Okay.
So our patients will, you know, the vast majority of them are here utterly voluntarily. So they'll be coming in the front door, and then they'll be waiting here in the hallway, and then they'll come on back this way where they'll be brought to this intake room where they'll be screened and assessed.
Let's back up a little bit. Tell me about the populations that you're sort of what kind
Okay, so the primary population we're going to start off with is men's long-term. Right. So what that means is...
Sorry, go ahead.
Men's long-term. So that's 6 months worth of treatment. All right. They'll already have been through detox, and they may need to be on medications, you know, and we'll have a psychiatrist and physicians and nursing staff here. But you're okay, Barbara.
And are these inmates, or are these people who are walk-ins?
No,
or
none of the people we're going to treat are inmates.
Okay.
None. Some people are court-ordered for treatment, just like the judge had suggested, you know.
Right. Drug court.
Yeah, drug court, that kind of thing. But even they can refuse to come here too. So it's volunteer. We have voluntary patients.
All right.
And this isn't a locked facility. So if somebody wanted to leave, they could. But nonetheless, we're going to start off with men's long-term. Then we're going to expand into a co-occurring unit where we're going to have a special unit for people that have mental health issues and substance abuse issues, you know, that are sort of equally as powerful.
Okay.
Eventually, we're going to be expanding into a women with children's program, a women's long-term program, you know, the classic 28-day kind of program. And we'll also have people that will come here on an outpatient basis for what we call partial hospitalization. So in other words, they come here, spend the entire day with us, and then they go home at night, or they go to their recovery house or transitional house or halfway house, wherever they would happen to be.
What did this hallway look like a year ago?
Oh, a year ago there was mold up the sides of these walls. The tiles was largely torn up. And the building had been abandoned for 3 or 4 years. None of the lights worked. Okay, take care, Greg. Yeah, the HVAC system didn't work, and windows were broken, you know, that kind of thing. So what we've done is we've put $500,000 worth of everything from mold remediation, new windows, a security system with 45 cameras that are completely surrounding the building and some inside the building. And you see the beginning of something special. What you're going to see today is 29,000 square feet of a 41,000 square foot property. The remaining balance is something that we're going to be expanding over the course of the next 2 and 3 years, and it really depends on what the county needs. We're hoping that we can open a Veterans with PTSD program. Because we think there's a lot of people coming back from Iraq and otherwise that have been through it, and they need a place to help get themselves together. And like I said, a Women with Children's program and a special co-occurring unit.
Continuing on.
Yeah. So as we continue, somebody will come here and then they'll fill out some initial paperwork, and then they'll be scheduled to see the nurse in the nurse's station, which is downstairs. Back here is a dorm. So this is a group room, the lounge area for a.
And there's people lounging.
There's people lounging. That's right.
Wonderful.
Well deserved rest, actually. Huh? No, it's totally good. So this is a lounge area for a 30-bed unit, and this will be one of the very first units that will be occupied when we open. So let me show you how the dorm is situated. As in any college, it's all cinder block walls, if you can remember what your freshman dorm room looked like. But this will be a typical bedroom. So there'll be 6 people to a bedroom. They'll have a bureau. In the corner, we have to put a wardrobe so they can hang their clothes too. But they will live here for 6 months. And they'll have obviously a really close quarters, relationship with the people that they live with. We at Gaudenzia have what's called a therapeutic community. So a lot of what we do is helping reestablish social connectivity with other people. And when somebody uses drugs or alcohol, they tend to get very isolated. They sort of begin to lose touch with how to communicate in a real healthy way with others. And so by using this dormitory style setting, that helps contribute to it, because you really need to learn how to live with each other. And that's a big part really of learning in recovery, is how to cope with yourself in the context of other people.
Are your patients limited in how, is patient the right word?
Yeah, patient.
Are they limited in the time that they can be here? What we hear over and over and over in this problem is that insurance doesn't cover long-term treatment. It covers outpatient for short periods of time. How long do people usually stay with Gaudenzia and the people who are using the programs here?
That's a great question. So residential treatment is not funded very well by insurance companies. In fact, they usually authorize very short lengths of stay. And the ability to have someone be in care for up to 6 months, it's a virtual unreality for people with private insurance. However, what we have is very limited funding from Anne Arundel County Health Department, which we're grateful for, but that funds someone the ability to stay here for up to 6 months. Now, at various points during that 6 months, we meet with the patient, really reevaluate, determine what symptoms they're having, and then they still need this level of care. If they don't need this level of care, then they would step down or transition out of this residential facility into a recovery house, or maybe back home to their family, where they'll continue to be in outpatient treatment after that. So, while we have people who complete this phase, we really don't use that word completion as if they're done with care, because they need continual care, but stepping down from this more intense level. What the type of treatment that characterizes for these people is really, they wake up at 6:30, or 6, and shower, get ready for breakfast, and they're in groups, structured activities, individual counseling sessions all day long for up to 6 months. In the last part of their treatment, last 2 months or so, usually they've really gotten their recovery together, and then they'll maybe go out and get a job part-time or full-time, and then come back here in the evening and to sort of process what their day was like. So this is would be like a house manager or a peer recovery specialist office, and our security system is really extensive. We've got security cameras all around the building and in various points. So what we want is when lights are out, we want our patients in bed and asleep. We're concerned, obviously, about the security around our building, and so our peer recovery specialists will, on occasion, every 20 minutes or so, walk these hallways and make sure everybody's in the right place.
And as you said, these rooms are not locked.
Not locked. So this isn't a criminal justice facility in any way, shape, or form. I mean, this is a drug and mental health, alcohol treatment program where people, if they wanted to, they could go out any of these doors at any time. So as you can see, all these bedrooms are, some slight differences in the bedrooms, but they all have, 6 beds.
The view isn't bad either.
No,
nice
it's
and
not
green,
bad.
and yeah.
It isn't bad at all. So let's go this way. So in here is our security system.
It's very secure.
It is. And on those TV monitors, we can get the full view of everything that's going on in this county. If we could open the door.
Actually, we're going to replace them with bigger ones.
Are you? Good. All right, so let's walk this way to the elevator. The room we just came from at the very end, that you may already have gotten shots of, is going to be one of our primary meeting rooms. So when we want to have a meeting where the entire patient and staff community need to get together, we'll bring them in there and have a meeting. So every morning we'll be having a meeting there, and every evening too, as we process the morning and the day.
How much work did the elevators need?
Not that much, surprisingly. We had to replace the floors, and everything was painted, but the elevator themselves still worked.
How about that?
Which is amazing, because they are so costly.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are.
I'm glad. I bet you were glad to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so tell you what, let's start here, and then we'll work this way. So in this room that you're about to see, this is our cafeteria. We're going to be purchasing a great deal more tables, but we can certainly feed a tremendous amount of people here. The cafeteria is utterly beautiful. Here, if you walk back this way, and state of the art, frankly. What we were able to do, when we wanted to build this building, or I should say renovate this building, we priced out what the cost of new kitchen equipment would be because it had nothing. And we got quotes between $150,000 and $160,000. At the end of the day, this furniture is costing us only $6,000 because we got surplus equipment from a couple elementary schools in Anne Arundel County, and the stove was donated by a family that lost their son to a heroin addiction.
Wow.
Some really interesting features. One thing that is probably insignificant, but I just think is just the coolest.
That's what we like.
Is there's a small little metal box over there in the corner, and it literally cleans dishes in 1 minute.
Nice.
And if I could have that for my house, I would just be
Wouldn't
so
that be great?
overjoyed.
Totally.
But when you think about feeding, upwards of anywhere from 90 to 120 patients and staff, you really need the ability to be able to clean some plates and dishes awfully quickly.
Absolutely.
And so people will be able to come in here. We'll have a dietitian, as a consultant that will be creating our meal plans so that they meet the specific guidelines for people in recovery, because some of them do have special needs. We'll have a full-time cook, or actually 2 full-time cooks. One of the other things that we're really proud of is that we train a lot of our patients in terms of the licensing and certification they need to work in the restaurants after they leave. And there's a special cook certification called a Safe Serve certification, and we are really aggressive at helping our patients get those so that they can get full-time employment when they leave. This is our nurses station where our medical director will be. And as you can see, it has an exam room in the back there. And over on the other side, there's another one of those 30-bed units that I was talking about.
So you have a nurse on staff.
24 hours a day.
Is the nurse's job, I'm guessing, is twofold. One is the management of the addiction, and the other is down the road when you have co-occurring, then you have to give people antipsychotic medications and things like that. Could you talk a little bit about, I think where we're going now with some of the debate is about the use of these maintenance drugs. How does Gaudenzia deal with Suboxone and methadone and drugs like that that make the body think that you're taking an opiate, and it is an opiate, in fact, but it doesn't have the high to it, and it's supposed to help people get through the withdrawal part?
Okay, so since 1968, Gaudenzia has been firmly committed to helping people get to a drug-free life. Historically, we have been slow in terms of embracing medication-assisted treatment like methadone, buprenorphine, or Suboxone, and some of the other drugs. Because what we believe really is that with the right support system, the right therapeutic community model, and the length of time in treatment, we really can help people develop the coping skills and the recovery skills that they need to live a drug-free life where they won't need a medication, for the rest of their lives to maintain their addiction. What we've seen over the past really 10 years or so is this huge prescription pill epidemic, really, that swept our country. And we've seen a proliferation of medication-assisted treatment programs like methadone and buprenorphine. And we now are treating a great number of those patients, methadone patients and buprenorphine, who are still addicted to other drugs. And at any given time in our Baltimore facility, we have between 50 and 70 of those patients that need our detox services, need our 28-day services, and our long-term residential services to get off of those other drugs. So we believe that those drugs are really important. We believe there's many pathways to recovery. And today, we believe that some people need medications to continue to stay drug-free off of heroin or cocaine or tranquilizers. So they may need to be on another type of medication like methadone or buprenorphine to help them with that. And so we're not opposed to those medications in any way, and we think they play an important role in people's recovery. But here, we offer a drug-free therapeutic community experience where what we hope to do is help people get off of those drugs and other drugs to be able to maintain a drug-free life when they leave.
Interesting, okay.
All right, so what you're about to see, you're about to enter the Pascal Crisis Stabilization Center. When we wanted to open here, we began meeting with the Crownsville Association that was looking at how to dispose of the Crownsville facility. And I met Catherine Bonacontri, who works for Pascal, the executive director for Pascal. And she described me her dream of wanting to use this very building to have a crisis stabilization center. I thought it would be a wonderful marriage to combine the crisis stabilization services and mental health and substance abuse treatment services. So, as I described earlier, how our patients will come in the front door of the building, her patients will come in the back. And so what she will be able to provide here is a way that will be able to help Anne Arundel County residents who are in crisis that need a place where they, for 23 hours, they can get themselves together and then get involved in the right mental health or substance abuse or community resources so that they won't have that crisis in the future. That's what they'll be doing here. For some of those patients, they'll have mental health or substance abuse problems, and they'll be assessed, and then they'll be referred to our program, and then literally they would go through our door and then go through our admissions process to be admitted into one of our programs here or elsewhere in the county.
Is that unusual to have those services? Because I was under the impression that unless you end up in the ER, that there's nowhere where you can just walk in and have 24-hour detox. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, what we're about to do has been done only in less than a handful of places across the country. And we think we're going to be able to make a huge difference for the Anne Arundel County population. Because now instead of going to an ER, you can come here while you're in crisis and get placed in the right resource, whether it's drug or mental health treatment, or whether it's the House of Ruth or some of the other wonderful resources here in the county. So this facility, this unit here, we think will be admitting, processing, seeing up to 4,800 patients, individuals a year.
Wow, that's a big number.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
4,800.
4,800. And just here's one fact alone that will make a sizable impact in the county. So right now, police pick up, on average, 7 people a day in what are called emergency petitions. An emergency petition is when somebody is either thinking about killing themselves or threatening the life of somebody else, you know, and they're just mentally unstable. So they pick up 7 of those people a day, much less all the voluntary people that they bring to the ER. When a police officer picks up one of these people and takes them to the ER, it takes about 4 hours that the police officer has to be there to help the person get processed in to the ER. Here, they'll be able to drive around the back, drop them off, and in 45 minutes then be able to leave the custody of that person in with Pascal. So that's up to 3 hours of police time. So that police officer will be back out on the street fighting the real criminals who are out there, and we'll be able to save Anne Arundel County thousands and thousands of dollars in police overtime, and get police officers doing what they really should be doing best, which is fighting the real criminals.
Yeah.
So that alone will make a significant impact. Much less if we can reduce by even 5% or 10% some of the people coming into our ERs now who are seeking help for a mental health or substance abuse
ERs
problem.
are full too.
Yeah. So if we can reduce the population in ER, your wife, your mother who's seeking the ER because they broke their leg or whatever, they'll be able to get more timely help.
Yeah.
And I think that's another outcome that we really hope to generate for the county. So if we walk back here, so these recliners are where somebody who is here for 23 hours or less, this is where they'll be sitting. They'll have a case manager who will be trying to help them get placed into a place where they can begin to stabilize their life or help them resolve whatever they were in crisis for.
Very comfy chairs.
Very comfy chairs. For those people that need a place to lie down while they're here, there'll be, here's a therapist's office. This ultimately will be a quiet room. So somebody that really needs to just be under observation but needs some quiet time, they can be in there. It still needs, obviously, the radiators need to go. There's a great deal of renovation work that still needs to be done.
How long has the renovation process been going on?
Oh my goodness, probably a year.
Sounds about right.
And here's a bedroom for someone if they need to be able to just rest. And as you can see, it has 4 beds in here.
Smell the new paint.
Yeah, you can. The patients have been here, really working away.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
So we obviously have full-time maintenance people that are employed by us, and we have electricians that we hire and plumbers that we hire. Those people you need licensed individuals for. But again, this is a therapeutic community, so we'll have patients that will help cook the food. We'll have patients that will paint walls, do landscaping. Patients are really a part of the very structure of this, because the idea is we need to create for them opportunities where they can begin to build their own self-esteem, work closely with others, and learn how to really develop coping skills about how to communicate to each other without the use of drugs or alcohol. So that's the tour.
Very good. Good luck to you.
All right, good.
Tell me, Greg told us a little bit about sort of the setup here. And it sounded to me like something completely new for Anne Arundel County, because you hear over and over again from the families that if you're in crisis, there's nothing you can do. You're either going to end up getting arrested or taken to the ER, and most people are not going willingly. And now the way this is set up is you can literally walk to the front door and say, I want to be admitted. Right?
This is going to be a whole new tool in the tool belt for the police. This is going to be a new actual center for the families and citizens of Anne Arundel. Nothing has ever been in the county that's going to be like it. It is truly unique. When I first started talking with Gaudenzia, one of their questions was, well, how much room do you really need to have that stabilization center that you're talking about? And I said, 1 wing. So that's what we have here in this facility. This is a wing, and all of the rest of the building is Gaudenzia's. The police can come to the back door of the facility and actually drop someone off. This is an arrangement where instead of going to an emergency room and having many, many hours in waiting time, this is going to hopefully reduce or eliminate a lot of that waiting time, because we are actually going to be 24/7 receiving people in crisis of all kinds,
How many beds are in the facility?
So we can house up to 32 if between the 16 that are the Crisis Stabilization Center chairs, or a lot of people who haven't seen them, they look like recliners,
Yep.
and the 16 residential crisis service beds on this wing.
So I think Greg said 4,000 people a year are going to come through here.
We have estimated that 4,800 souls will be seen in the center per year.
Okay. I'm just trying to do the math. So 16 times 365 is what?
That's because of the 23-hour hold, because not all of them will stay.
Okay.
That's where that number comes from.
So do you feel like, I mean, do you ever feel like you're going to be able to meet the whole need? I mean, that's not your goal to be able to.
It's not. We're simply trying to be another piece of the puzzle that is the need for treatment. But this should be a fairly large piece in comparison to what our county has had before.
Can you frame that a little bit? Tell people about, like, if I'm a mom and my son Lance has had this problem and he's in crisis and I don't know what to do. What were my options before this existed? Were there any good options as to what I could do to get him help?
A lot of people, I hope, would have answered, call the crisis response system, call your local health department, call any number of places in order to get numbers. And as you heard in the ceremony a little while ago when we did the ribbon cutting, a lot of people have found frustrating ends and roadblocks when they've been trying to actually call those phone numbers, trying to get appointments. I can personally tell you where we have a clinic in Severna Park, we get calls for help and a new appointment in multitudes every single day because there is not enough capacity. We know we cannot solve the entire problem ourselves here, but we really strive to make a dent in what's happening for our citizens.
Do you, when you're watching, obviously you've been involved in issues related to this for many years now that it's such a big issue for the public and there's so much information out there, where do you think we're headed, maybe nationally, with how to address this problem? I mean, I know that's a big question. Maybe I can be more specific in that what changes need to be made to the model so we're getting people into treatment and we're keeping them there as long as they need to be there to be rehabilitated?
Obviously, my main focus is to have the gap that is currently in effect until we open our door covered by this facility. Many communities need exactly what we're about to open right here. They need a place that is sort of the holding place before they go to the next level.
What is that gap? Explain what that is.
That's the Crisis Stabilization Center piece itself, because when someone's ready for treatment, there's a very narrow window for them to actually say, I really want to go, I'm willing, I'm ready, take me now. if a person is ready and you miss that gap, and when you take a phone call and they say, we have a bed, but it'll only be ready 5 or 6 weeks from now, you miss that window for someone. We're nationwide, and in the research, it shows that getting someone care when they are able to receive it is critical.
I see.
So that has been part of the problem nationwide, is that folks are ready for care and the care is not ready for them.
And so what do people do in that situation?
They go to the
try lock them in
emergency
house,
room,
or
they try to absolutely everything and anything, and then usually that individual winds up using again. And in many cases, it's too late.
Well, we can't wait to come back and see everything in full swing, and hopefully you'll be able to make a difference.
I'm going to do my level best.
The numbers are going the wrong direction.
They absolutely are.
Well, thanks as always.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.